Hi, everyone. I'm Sally Hed Dahlquist, a mega marathoner, and this little tip is about potty training. If you have to go to the bathroom, then go. You'll feel a lot better, and your body will thank you. So here's some little tips on how to make the best of your time in the pooper, also known as the John, or on the ship, it's called the head, because the sailors used to just hang off the front of the ship and let it loose, as demonstrated at the USS Constellation in Baltimore, which I ran by for that marathon. It's fun what you learn during a marathon vacation. So that's the head, and my dad used to say that he had two names for the bathroom, John Head. But our name is spelled H-E-D. It's Swedish and means moors, like the British moors, the windy grasslands, which makes me Sally Field, the actress who plays the mom in Forrest Gump, another famous runner. Which brings me back to our tip on potty training. Some people seem to think that you have to run the entire time during the marathon, and you should not stop to go to the bathroom. That's just silly. Neither of those things are true. If you gotta go, then go. I have run a lot of races where I didn't stop at all because I didn't feel like it. And I felt good. I knew I was getting enough water and sweating enough. So that was okay. If you're not sweating enough to keep cool, drink more with electrolytes until you pee. You gotta make sure those kidneys are working. Flush it out. Sweat it out. For me, I still get nervous or excited before each race, even though I've run, 171 marathons now. And for some reason, I always have to poo within 30 minutes of the start. I think that's probably also from drinking all the sports drinks before the race, and when I put on the lube on the back door, that kind of stimulates things to start moving. So I strategically get in line so I know that I can get that out there before I start. If not, I'll have to go within the first 5 miles, which is just the worst timing because the lines are the longest at the beginning of the race. This one time in Madison, I had to wait until mile 13. Never again will I wait that long. And I got to make sure everything is totally secure in my pockets before I go in, or I set it outside in my hat, because there is no way I'm going to risk dropping my phone down the hatch in the toilet, or even dropping it on the floor is totally gross. No way. And the later on in the marathon, the worse the bathrooms get. It's bad enough that you have to step on whatever sticky stuff is on that floor. I'm certainly not going to drop my phone. Ew. One time I dropped some lady supplies, and thank God I had a backup. Don't pick up anything off that floor. And after a race, I always rinse off the bottom of my shoes because that's pretty gross. God knows what you've stepped on. And put them in a plastic bag till I can get home and toss them in the washing machine. Also at the start, I bring some lube with me, like a little tub of Vaseline or some Highland's anti-chafe cream, so I can reapply it on that back door before I start running. You just put 2 or 3 tablespoons, like the size of your thumb, on some TP and just smear it all over back there. Spread those cheeks, enjoy it. It's part of your preparation, part of potty training. You got to try it a few times to find what works for you, to get coordinated, reaching back there. And it does feel really weird to stand up and to have your butt crack be all sticky, gooey, but it's worth it. If you chafe there, it's like running with pine needles in your keister. Potty training will prevent that. During a race, lately, I've been going 3 to 4 times during the race. It makes me feel like I'm getting enough fluids, and I'll take more salt pills or eat a pickle to make sure I'm maintaining my electrolytes. And sometimes I just want to sit down and chill out. It's called a rest room, so you might as well rest. You can take a little mini break in there and sit down for a while you do your thing. Or like my mom says, do a Jobby, as in a job, J-O-B. like it's work or something. Hopefully, it's the easiest thing you can do in your day. I mean, it's the easiest thing you can do during a marathon. And it'll make you feel a lot better. And when you're done, if your tummy is still a little queasy, just walk for a little bit. Give yourself a couple minutes, maybe 5, for your guts to reset, for all those carbs to move along. And then off you go again to the races. All of this is assuming, that is, if it's not too disgusting in there. I always wipe the seat off. I use some hand sanitizer or something, put down some TP, but not too much because I don't want to waste it for the other runners. And there's nothing worse than going in there and not having toilet paper. Well, other than it being unusable. And later in the race, when I'm all sweaty and gross, I don't care as much, but I really don't want to sit on someone else's poo. I've started carrying 2 or 3 wet wipes with me, mainly to wipe my fingers. You can get these wet wipes at any gas station, any deli counter, or Walmart sells them in individual packages, which I really like. So my fingers get really sticky during a race, between all the sugar, gooey food, Vaseline, sunscreen, and sometimes bug spray. But I've also used them to wipe toilet seats and my backside, especially if I had to go outside, which has happened a few times. Oh, and the new thing I did at Jersey City Marathon in 2025, which worked really well, was to sit on someone's old clothes. Oh my gosh, I had to go so bad at mile 9. But up till then, the porta-potties were really gross. And even at mile 9, it was still gross. There was stuff on the seat, and I had to go, but I would not sit on that. I looked around for something to clean it with and noticed all the old clothes people had tossed. So I picked up an old pair of sweatpants someone had tossed aside and laid each leg on top of the toilet seat. Genius! Oh man, I felt so much better. And I made sure those pants did not go into the toilet when I was done, because that makes it really hard for them to pump out. You gotta be considerate of others. Man, in Berlin, which had like 50,000 people, the porta potties were gross too, and I had to spend a bit of time wiping them off. And when I got out, I made sure it was only other women using that porta potty. I find that the bigger the race, the grosser the bathrooms, and be emotionally prepared and physically prepared to hold it longer. Because every time you open that bathroom door, you never know if it's usable or not. Surprise! At smaller races, the volunteers are willing to pitch in more and will even clean up the bathroom if you tell them it's unusable. They're really nice about it. But at big races, that's not their job. And they'll just look at you like a deer in the headlights. Like, what are they supposed to do about it? Well, just please get in there and just wipe it down a little. Volunteers, please, if you're anywhere near a bathroom, just please check it occasionally. Wipe it down. Find some Clorox wipes or anything. And constantly restock that TP. Las Cruces, New Mexico had the cleanest bathrooms in 2023. Their vendor guy was really good. And that was their first race, so I hope they can keep it up. That was a super fun weekend. We went to White Sands afterwards, and I connected with some really cool runners I still love to hang out with. So, hi Levi and Caroline and other Sally. Dahlquist Island and Cape Cod also did a great job with their porta potties in 2025. They even had a little table you could set your stuff on with a big bottle of hand sanitizer and some paper towels. So that made it a lot easier, because then they knew that you were going to pick up your stuff again when you came out of the bathroom. I always feel a little weird throwing my hat and my phone on the ground outside the porta potty. Don't want to lose that. So don't hold it in. Just go. Your tummy will feel better and you will run better too. And after you use the bathroom, feel free to walk a little bit, take a little rest for it to have a positive effect, and enjoy the go. As Sherman says, sometimes if you just can't wait, you gotta go on the side of the course, squat down. I got really good at squatty peeing when we hiked up to Everest because you had no choice. I practiced. I got better. So just squat down. Just do it. Whatever. Every runner will understand. Oh gosh, even in a fancy place like Aspen 2025, I had to do the number 2 Jobby twice outside on the side of the bike trail at mile 5 and again at mile 23. I mean, the aid stations were so far apart. I just couldn't wait anymore. I had to go. No one was around at mile 5, but by mile 23, I had to hold it in a little longer to wait till all the bikes went by. But by that time, I really didn't care. That was the toughest part of that race. Well, other than the intense July sun beating down on you and the heat at over 80 degrees Fahrenheit, it was rough. Man, sometimes those salt pills go right through me, make it all mushy. At least it's an easy job. Try to find some privacy. Watch for some animals and little snakes. Oh, it's creepy. And spider webs hiding in the woods. And definitely stay out of the poison ivy. We all know somebody who's done that. Maybe it's you. I mean, that's worse than no lube. It's the poison ivy. And if you do have to do your Jobby and go number 2 on the side of the course, remember that there is no poop fairy. So at least try to cover it up and be a little discreet. Just like your dog. There is no poop fairy. They didn't get that memo in Norway. This one time in Lillehammer when we were just hiking through the woods, underneath the Olympic ski jump. Super cool. Stay at that Scandic hotel. It's really cool. I want to live there. I was just hiking through the woods and noticed all these white Kleenexes everywhere, scattered throughout the forest. I was like, wow, people's allergies are really acting up here. Well, my husband said that's where somebody pooped. They were marking it with toilet paper. What? These white Kleenexes were everywhere, scattered throughout this wood. It just spoiled my walk in the park. I was like, what is it with these Europeans? Come on, just pay to use their little porta-potties. I know it's annoying, but 50 cents will get you a decent bathroom in Europe, and it's worth it to pay for it. Yeah, just fork over a couple extra pennies to use a nice bathroom. Then there was this other time during the marathon in Birmingham, Alabama, when a lady asked me, "Can you tell that I peed my pants?" Heck no! With all that sweat, no one can tell. Especially since she had dark tights on. The pee kind of drips down on the inside. I know it's gross, but everyone else just thinks it's water or you purposely poured it on yourself. No one can tell. This lady had a few kids and just couldn't hold it in like she used to. Good for her for being out there, not to worry. It's fine. No one can tell. And then you have people like Tom Perry who have to run with a little more thicker supplies. He makes it work. He's figured out a way. And you can too. So don't let that stop you. If you're having problems like that, you can manage. So this tip on potty training is dedicated to Megan, a girl. Well, she's 25, a woman I met at the start line of the St. Louis Marathon in 2023. I noticed her because she had bloody knees. Ouch. She said she fell down on the way to the start line. Oh, nightmare. I offered to put my Vaseline on it or get some Band-Aids, but she said she'd be fine. She was pretty tough. She had been in the military, but was now going to law school in Missouri. And she signed up for the race because her chief warrant officer, Renee, was coming in from Seattle to run it. And he's run a lot. And she wanted to join him and was looking around to find him, which she never did. So this was her first marathon, and she had not trained for it. She used to run a lot in the military, but she'd only run a few miles lately, but figured her previous military training would get her through it. She was in really good shape and looked good, but she was not in marathon shape. I told her that would help a lot, but was probably not enough, and she should be prepared to drop out. But she had to make it to mile 17. Her family was coming to give her a beer. How fun. You could tell. This woman, I told her to also have them bring her a Coke, some caffeine, and maybe some sugar pop too. She may not want the beer at mile 17. And you could tell this woman was goal-oriented and determined to finish. I mean, military, then law school. She was a goal-oriented. She was a go-getter. So like this skier, Jess McMillan says, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. And Megan said she was tough. How bad could it be, really? The gun went off and she took off without finding Renee. 4 hours later, at about mile 19, I saw her red shorts ahead of me. She was walking, doubled over sideways, gasping, and I could tell she was really hurting. I felt so bad for her. This was not working out. I grabbed her arm tight, maybe a little too tight, to give her a little bit more support. Megan, what's wrong? Talk to me. Oh, she was not good. She was having a side ache, side stitches. She said she had already gone to the bathroom, but felt like she needed to go again right away. And was that normal? Yes. Going to the bathroom was normal. She was still walking, not having any leg cramps, so that was good. And it was a gorgeous, perfect sunny day, around 65. So she wasn't overheating. And some people just aren't used to or don't handle the weird, different sugar, goo, gels, electrolytes, sports drinks very well. That beer at mile 17 didn't do her any favors. So maybe she should just stick with water for a while. All that bouncing around of your internal organs and weird food, that much pain was probably to be expected without a lot of training. You just have to figure out how your body reacts as part of your potty training. With no porta-potties in sight, I encouraged her, just go on the rocks along the bank of the Mississippi River. You will feel better. You know, this part of the course wasn't out and back, so the other runners were starting to come back towards us on their way to the finish line and could see us pretty well too. She scooted down the embankment more, just do it. Do your Jobby, like my mom says, your Jobby. Everyone, the other runners will understand. Then walk for a while. She's so close, just 6 miles. She could walk it in to finish. I ran ahead, which I later felt bad about. I should have stayed with her. But I ran ahead and told the medic on the bike to go find her, bring her some toilet paper, and watch out for her. Eventually, I saw this guy running toward me, wearing a shirt that said, "I'm the chief warrant officer other people warned you about." He had to be her friend Renee. He was so surprised when I yelled his name, "Renee! Megan needs you. She's behind me and hurting bad." Well, he didn't even know she had started. I told him to watch out for her in the white tank top and red shorts. She was looking pretty bad. I didn't think she'd finish, and we should probably encourage her to quit if she wasn't feeling better. And he did find her. So we had both encouraged her to keep going and also to just quit. Maybe it's time to be done. If you haven't trained, it's really hard, especially if you have a side ache and are pooping a lot and are just plain tired because you're not used to all the movement. I mean, 19 miles is still a long way. Well, much to my surprise, the next time I saw her, about mile 23, she was a different person. She had really perked up. She was standing up taller, chatting and running with another woman, Amanda, and seemed to be having a good time and was doing great. I think she was getting more hopeful that the end was near. That last Jobby must have done the trick. Plus, I'm sure that seeing Renee and camaraderie with Amanda helped her a lot. Megan finished just after me, under 6 hours, with Renee waiting for her, and they celebrated together at the end. I was happy for her that she got to finish and see Renee, but was also sad that she had such a bad experience. I wish she had been more prepared and had trained and tried different foods, electrolytes, and sugars. Or maybe only did the half marathon this time around. She would have had a much better time. She's quite the go-getter. I hope she's tried it again. So if you have to go, just go. And yes, if you start running a lot and talking with other people, you will hear lots of bathroom stories. Far more than you really need to know. TMI. That's too much information. It makes a really good story. So thanks for listening to this little tip. I hope some of the advice in here helps you and that we can all learn from other people's experiences, even going to the bathroom. Oh, and remember to support and donate to my charity, well, any charity for medical research. I'm Sally Hed Dahlquist, host of the podcast Unstoppable, Stories That Move. Keep moving forward.